Lamb, and I'm with the Virginia SBDC Network. For those of you that are not familiar with our organization, the Virginia Small Business Development Center is a partnership program between the U.S. Small Business Administration, George Mason University, and local host institutions throughout Virginia. With 26 locations across the Commonwealth, we provide training and technical assistance to small businesses in their local communities. Our one-on-one advising services are available at no charge. Today's webinar, Keeping Up with Digital Marketing, A's for Your Q's, ChatGPT, is presented by the Virginia SBDC Network. Please mark your calendars for the next webinar in our Digital Bootcamp series, Success Through E-Commerce, on November 21st at 1 p.m. We are recording today's presentation, and it will be posted on our website, virginiasbdc.org. Due to the large number of participants, everyone's microphone is muted. But if you have questions during the presentation, you can type those into the Q&A box, and we will adjust them at the end of the session. We have also enabled a live transcript function, which you can show or hide via your own meeting controls. And now it is my pleasure to introduce our presenter for today's session, Cameron Nelson, Technology Advisor for the Virginia SBDC. Cameron has over 19 years of experience in technology and is a senior tech consultant in Silicon Valley, helping Fortune 500 companies improve their digital marketing and e-commerce. At the same time, he also founded several tech companies, including a software as a service website for tree preservation and a blockchain platform for nonprofits. Cameron is accomplished in language, culture, has an MBA and MA. He believes new technology products have the ability to help shape our world for the better. Please join me in welcoming Cameron Nelson.
Thanks for that introduction, and hello everybody. Welcome to this session on digital marketing. We're going to be talking about AI and ChatGPT and how it can be useful for your small business, especially in the realm of digital marketing, but we'll also touch on other topics outside of marketing where AI like ChatGPT has shown that it can be a real time saver and an efficiency booster for small businesses. To this date, I've given a presentation on this topic to probably close to 1,000 small business owners. And I'm really excited on this topic. It's one of my favorite topics because it's such a game-changing technology, as we'll see. Almost everybody has heard of ChatGPT, but a year ago, nobody had it. It wasn't even publicly available. So it's really come a long way quickly. And we're going to see some of the key things that it's doing very well, and also look into the future and see kind of what's coming up next and what we can expect from this technology next year and beyond. So with that, let's jump right into it. First off, I want to define a couple of terms so we're all on the same page. GPT. GPT stands for this term, a generative pre-trained transformer. This is the technical term. But what it is a family of AI language models. And it was first created in 2018 by the company OpenAI based in San Francisco. And you can think of GPT as a type of computer learning that's used to generate human-like text. So imagine GPT as a free encyclopedia. It's like a chatbot you can talk to. So it's similar to Google or Wikipedia in the sense that you can ask it questions and get answers. But instead of entering your search into a box in Google and receiving the pages as results, you talk to, in a conversational manner, this ChatGPT bot. You pose it questions like you would just to a person, and it will conduct the research and generate responses tailored to your questions. So I want to talk about who are the main players in this space. What are the main platforms you can use? OpenAI's ChatGPT is not the only one, but as I mentioned, it was the first big one to launch to the public almost a year ago in November of last year. So OpenAI created ChatGPT. Another really popular one is Google's Bard. Now, Google Bard is Google's own chatbot and it can answer questions much like ChatGPT. But now Google Bard can answer questions based on information it finds in your Gmail inbox, or in your Google Drive storage, or in your Google Calendar. So because it's Google, and if you use Google services, it can pull information and give you answers across every Google service, which is something ChatGPT cannot do. The next entrant here is Microsoft's with Microsoft Bing. Now, Bing is Microsoft's kind of search engine, and Microsoft was an early funder of OpenAI. And so Bing just uses ChatGPT on the back end. It doesn't actually have its own chat bot. It just uses ChatGPT. And some people might have noticed in a recent update to Windows 11 operating system that now there's the Copilot integrated into the operating system. Now, this is a very interesting feature and unique to Bing and Microsoft, and in the sense that you can now use the AI chatbot on your desktop computer to ask questions about all sorts of things of information that might be contained on your computer. So an interesting take on this, where Google Bard is searching through your cloud storage, Bing is able to search through your desktop computer storage. And the last one we will consider today is called, there's two called, one is Agent GPT and the other is called Auto GPT. Now, these are very interesting takes on the situation. Each of these has a different approach, as we've seen. And Agent GPT and Auto GPT take it to kind of a whole nother level. So we're going to talk about specifically ChatGPT and Agent GPT in most of the examples today to give you a really deep dive into what they're capable of. But keep in mind, Google Bard and Bing also have those other competitive advantages, and you might find them equally useful or more useful for your business. So I want to talk about ChatGPT and Agent GPT in a little bit more detail. The difference here is that ChatGPT relies on you to type in a question, and then it gives you its response. But Agent GPT substitutes you as the human asking questions with its own self-asking follow-up questions to your initial question. So, for example, if you ask ChatGPT to summarize a market report or give you a market analysis or outlook, it will do that. And then if you have any follow-up questions, you have to think of those and then ask it, and it will then give you an updated response. Agent GPT is really interesting because it will intuitively think of what questions you would have asked as a follow-up and just automatically ask them and automatically regenerate its response based on these new theoretical questions. We'll see how this works in real life, but it is quite amazing the type of output you can get from Agent GPT. So here are the websites. You can access both of these. They both have a free tier, and they also both have a paid tier. The paid tier on ChatGPT gets you access to the image generation tool, which I'm going to show later on. It gives you access to uploading your own files and having them analyzed, like expenses or PDFs, Excel sheets, Word docs, almost any kind of data you want to upload and have it analyzed, you can. Agent GPT allows you to do more searches if you pay their $40 a month tier, rather than just the free tier. Now, ChatGPT has launched its new version 4.0, which you only get access to if you pay their $20 a month. If you don't pay and you're on the free tier, you get access to the older version 3.5. So it's already on version 4, whereas Agent GPT is still really a beta product. They do say that on the website. And you do run into some limitations when it says, you've run into the limitation of the beta. So that's where they're both at. If you want something that's more polished and fleshed out, then ChatGPT is that. If you want something that can dive deeper into your questions and provide maybe better answers, then Agent GPT is a real contender. So before we go any further, I think it's really interesting to talk about how intelligent ChatGPT is compared to average humans taking a variety of college and other types of exams. On the GRE, for example, the older version of ChatGPT, 3.5, scored in the 63rd percentile, whereas the new version, released a few months ago, scores in the 99th percentile. Similarly, with evidence-based writing, these ChatGPT models are extremely good, better than most humans at answering these questions. In the bar exam also, the ChatGPT, the old version passed, but poorly, and the new version passed in the 90th percentile. You can see similar great results in math, in biology, and the sciences. So as far as these models' ability to understand a question on a test and scour through all of the information that's stored on the internet to provide the correct answer, they're very, very good. And in general, they're better than most people. And this is, of course, early days with the development of these models. So in a year or two, I'm sure that these numbers will be much farther to the right across all of these scenarios. But I wanted to point this out because if you're asking it questions that you're using for your business and you're relying on the accuracy of the answers provided, this gives you some indication that, well, you could hire an MBA student to do some research, or you could ask GPT, and most times this is going to give you a very, very good answer compared to a human would. So I want to talk about 5 key tactics you can use GPT for in your business, especially as it relates to your online marketing. The first thing we're going to talk about in detail is how to use it for content generation. The second aspect we're going to cover is how to use GPT to help you do your market research and analysis. GPT is also excellent at helping you get new ideas for products or services or ways to solve problems. You'll be surprised at how good of a problem solver it is. And we're going to talk about some examples of how it does idea generation and problem solving. Fourth, we're going to talk about how it can be very useful in your data analysis and providing you insights that you would have had to read hundreds of pages or look at massive Excel sheets for, or hire professionals in finance, accounting, or business analysis. GPT is able to provide a lot of answers very, very quickly at a much lower cost. And lastly, we're going to show how it can help you with prototyping new business ideas and concepts and designing even new products. So first is content generation. As anybody who owns a business nowadays knows, writing content for your website, your blog posts, social media, this can be very time consuming. And many small business owners really struggle with spending enough time to do this right. AI can help drastically improve the efficiency of your content creation by giving you a jump start. It can help you do research, help you find topics of interest that are relevant today, can help you draft the text of your posts. However, you should always be careful and review the content before posting it online. Here's 4 key ways where GPT can be used today in your content generation. Obviously, drafting content. Now, I suggest that you'll use this mainly for initial content generation rather than copying and pasting everything it gives you and posting it online directly. The reason is because by default, the tone and the voice of ChatGPT might not match your business and might not match your business identity. So on to point number 2, you can tell it what tone of voice you want to use, and then it starts to give you better results. In fact, you can copy and paste in some marketing materials you created yourself in the years past. You can ask it to learn the tone of your writing style and to follow that and adhere to that as it writes you new content. So that's very, very cool. You can also have it mimic the tone or the style of a famous author. If there's somebody in your field who has a writing style that really communicates well to your target market, you can just specify that you would like it written in the style of this individual, and ChatGPT will then read everything written by that individual and very realistically kind of mimic that tone and style. Thirdly, ChatGPT can help you expand initial ideas. So oftentimes it's useful if you have an idea or even a question that you think will be useful as a blog topic or as a social media post, and you ask ChatGPT to expand on that. You can ask it to provide more details and examples, citations, and it will then expand on that to any length you ask. If you say, give me a 100-word answer or 500 words, it can do that. And lastly, it can really help you with your SEO optimization. This is search engine optimization, and it is related to content generation because it helps more people get on your website and be reading your content. And so SEO optimization is traditionally handled by people with a lot of experience who understand the nitty-gritty details of how Google search engine and Microsoft and Facebook, how they filter results to the tops of those searches. So what used to take a person or even a team of people many hours of research and analysis, ChatGPT can do all of that analysis almost instantaneously, both looking at your current website and your competitors. It can see what keywords your competitors are using that you're not. It can even see what keywords are scoring highly in like overall search rankings. based on current trends, and it can combine all of that into a report on SEO optimizations for your website. And again, this can be absolutely free if you use the version 3.5 of ChatGPT. And if you're using a paid version at version 4, you'll get slightly better results, I find. They're slightly improved, not drastically. So if you don't have an account, feel free to ask it for all of these types of information, even with a free level, and you'll get some pretty great results. One thing I wanted to dive into specifically here is asking ChatGPT to make some marketing copy. And I'm both going to compare ChatGPT's answer to Agent GPT. And Agent GPT, like I mentioned, is the version that was created by a different company that reiterates your initial question with questions of its own design and its own devising to give you better and better answers. So throughout the presentation today, I'm going to be pretending that I am the owner of Purina Dog Food Company. I chose this just because pretty much everybody knows this brand. We all know what dog food is, so this is not conceptually difficult. So in this prompt, I asked ChatGPT to pretend I'm the owner of the Purina Dog Food Company and to write me a blog post in 200 words or less that explains the benefits of my product to my target market. So let's see how ChatGPT did in writing this blog post. First, it started with a title that says Purina Dog Food, Tail Whacking Goodness for Your Furry Friend. So you can tell that the tone and the style it's taking here is kind of lighthearted, kind of jovial. If that's the tone that works for you, then that's great. You can also then reprompt it and say, no, use a serious tone, use a convincing tone. I'm going to show you some examples of tones you can ask it to use, but it chose this tone for default. And so then it goes on to say, at Purina, we understand your four-legged family member deserves the very best. And that's why our dog food is especially crafted to provide a balanced, nutritious diet. So again, it's hitting on some of those key concerns pet owners have that your dog deserves the best, that it's special food, that it's nutritious, that it's balanced. So I think it's doing a good job of crafting this marketing message. And then it talks about 4 key points here: the premium ingredients, a health and wellness factor, that it has delicious taste, and that it's a trustworthy brand. So what's particularly impressive here is that without knowing anything else about Purina, ChatGPT went out and found all this information about the company, about its competitors, about what people have said about it online, the reviews, and it combined all this into one short blog post for me. So again, it's a ton of research synthesized into a very small package and very quickly, and written with a very high quality of English spelling and grammar, of course. And it ends with saying, choose Purina to see the difference in your dog's happiness and well-being. It's not just dog food, it's a promise of love, care, and the best nutrition for your cherished companion. So it's a pretty good marketing message, as most marketing experts will say. If you're selling to consumers, it's the emotional response that gets a sale. You want them to feel an emotion. So if I was a consumer, look on the fence of this product and this brand, this does a good job, I think, of helping me feel something about the brand. And it's particularly impressive that it was all written by ChatGPT, only with that very simple prompt. So I wanted to pose the same question to Agent GPT to see how this would respond differently. So the exact same prompt. It starts by saying, for the blog post, as the owner of the Purina Dog Food Company, it's important to understand the target market for our product. Through research and analysis, we've identified our target market to be young professionals who are starting their families. And then it goes on in the second paragraph to say, one of the benefits of Purina Dog Food is we offer a wide range of options for pets, including dogs and cats and fish. And you'll notice the number 1 behind fish if you're following along. That's because it actually left a citation of the source for that data. So if you are, citing sources here, it provides you all of that. The third paragraph goes on to say another advantage of our product is its focus on providing well-balanced and nutritious food for pets. So again, this picked up on that people are looking for nutritious and balanced food. And in the next paragraph, it says, in addition to those nutritional benefits, Purina Dog Food has gained market share over the years. Maybe not super relevant. And so in conclusion, Purina Dog Food offers numerous benefits. So right off the bat with this first iteration, you might find some things that don't jump out at you as being super relevant on this blog post, not like ChatGPT did. But what happens next with Agent GPT is it is going to rewrite this automatically, and it's going to change my prompt. It's going to say, now identify the key benefits of Purina dog food for the target market. So it's going to try to improve its response, and let's see how it did. In this version, it starts by saying, as the proud owner of Purina, you deserve to know why our dog food is the best choice for your furry friend. We understand your dog's health and happiness are the utmost importance. So that sounds good, right? That's very targeted. That's very relevant to my question. It then talks about 7 key things that Purina dog food has: optimal nutrition, healthy digestion, strong immune system, something that the ChatGPT didn't pull out, shiny coat and healthy skin, dental health, another thing ChatGPT didn't talk about, energy and vitality, and variety. So this is a better response for sure. And let's see what it does in the next iteration. And currently in the beta for Agent GPT, there's a limit of about 4 or 5 iterations until it says it's reached the limit of the beta. So we'll see that here in a moment. So task number 2, it's going to improve the response by saying, now write a blog post highlighting the benefits of Purina dog food to the target market. So it starts by saying, hello, dog lovers. As the proud owner of Purina, I'm excited to share with you the incredible benefits of our top quality dog food. And you can see now it's cut the list of 7 down to 5. So it's finding that some of those are not quite as relevant or not quite as important to your target market. So it's focusing on those that it thinks are. It has a summary, and then it says, so why wait? Give your dog the gift of superior nutrition today with Purina dog food. They deserve nothing but the best. So again, it's having that emotional response. It's tying that in. And it's also having that call to action, which is so important in selling to consumers. So why wait, right? Buy it now. Because one of the most common ways to lose consumer in the sales process is not having a sense of urgency about it. So people then wait and then forget about it. So that was the second iteration. Now here's the third. It's going to add an even more relevant detail. It's going to review and revise the blog post for clarity and effectiveness. So here in this version, it got rid of the bullet points. It decided that it will be better just to have short paragraphs. It starts by saying, hey, proud dog owners, as the owner of Purina, I'm thrilled to share the incredible benefits of our top-notch dog food with you. We understand your furry friends and family, and that's why we've created a product that goes above and beyond. So it's making it sound like you are very connected to the target consumer, which is good. You understand their needs. And as you read through the rest of these paragraphs, Agent GPT has kind of rewritten some of those key points in bullet point form into a paragraph form. Now, you might decide you prefer bullet points or not, but I do think that with this version, it does improve upon certain characteristics, and it really doubles down on that emotional connection. If we look at the second to last paragraph, for example, it says, dear pet parents, give your furry friends the gift of wholesome nutrition and satisfaction. So it's definitely instilling in them that you're with them in this kind of pet food journey, and that they have an emotional response and want to buy this product. And there's a fourth version. In this version, it revises the blog post for clarity and effectiveness even further. So we won't go through that one in too much detail, but you can see some of the differences. And I think some of the advantages of the Agent GPT approach over ChatGPT. Now let's look at the second item that GPT can help you with, which is market research. This is a critical process for most small businesses and entrepreneurs creating startups to gather information about their target market and the industry trends and competitors. ChatGPT can play a real valuable role in assisting you with these various aspects of market research. Firstly, it can help you with your question formation. So if you're looking to gather information and you want to send out a survey or conduct your research gathering in any other form, you might not really know what questions you should ask. Well, ChatGPT is there to help, and they can generate a list of relevant questions for you that you can post on your surveys. Also, a big time saver is in competitive analysis. When I mentioned that I was the owner of Purina dog food, GPT found out all sorts of information about my company, and what my customers wanted. And if you ask it to learn about the competitors of a certain company, it will also do that. Now, if your company is a startup and you're not at all online, you don't have an online presence, you can just say what kind of industry you're in and ask for a competitive analysis of your industry. Thirdly, ChatGPT can analyze mass amounts of relevant industry data, news, and reports, and it can help you identify trends that are emerging, market shifts, and help give you new ideas about changing customer behavior, which might help you in your ways to connect with them and sell your products. Fourth, GPT is very good at analyzing your data. Like I said, you can feed it hundreds of pages of an Excel sheet or a PDF file and literally ask it any question of something that was in there. And in 5 or 6 seconds, it will have searched through it and given you the answer. But what's more impressive, you might think, well, that's similar to doing a control F, and searching for a piece of text. But the difference here is that you can ask a question just like you would ask another human being. And even if you use words that aren't an exact match with what's in the text, even if you use phrases that are kind of confusing or ambiguous, almost every time I've tried this and many other people, GPT is able to accurately interpret your question, find the answer, and give you the answer in the format you're looking for. So it's very, very impressive. And lastly, GPT is able to analyze conversations with your customer or posts on your Facebook page from customers. And it's able to uncover feelings or thoughts or viewpoints of customers or their pain points and their problems. And it can summarize all of this for you just within a few seconds. So it can be very, very time-saving if you're looking to find out, well, what are some of those consumer sentiments on your products? So I wanted to put this to the test, and I wanted to ask the GPTs to give me a SWOT analysis, a strengths, weaknesses, opportunity, and threats analysis. This is a very common kind of business school analysis that a lot of small businesses and startups might have done or might be considering doing. So it's very relevant because it's very widely used. So I said, I'm the owner of the Purina dog food company, and give me a SWOT analysis of my top competitors. Note that I didn't tell it anything about my competitors or give it any other information to go on. So it gives me a report. It says my top competitor is Hill's Science Diet. And at first I wasn't sure what Hill's Science Diet was. I hadn't heard of that, but I looked it up, and sure enough, they're a dog food company, much like Purina. So it correctly found one of the top competitors. Now, when it gave me the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, it kind of looks at it from the perspective of my competitor, which is interesting. So it says the strength of brand recognition. Hill's Science Diet is a well-known and respected brand in the pet food industry. That it has a veterinarian endorsement that is often recommended by veterinarians. And that it has a wide product range. Hill's offers a wide range of specialized and prescription dog foods. Now it talks about the weaknesses of my main competitor. It talks about how the premium quality and veterinary endorsement comes at a high cost. So for budget-conscious consumers, Hill's Science Diet might not be meeting their needs. And also that they have a limited natural emphasis on natural and organic ingredients. So what are the opportunities for Purina? Well, it says there's a health and a wellness trend, which increases the focus on pet food health and wellness. So it says this is an opportunity for Hill's to further position itself as a provider of scientifically formulated, health-focused dog food, and also that there's natural ingredients and a new line of food for that. And lastly, it lists some of the threats for Hill's Science Diet, that there's competition from natural brands and from private labels who are able to offer the similar food at a much lower cost. So it took this question and it kind of gave it to me a little bit backwards, I think, from the perspective of my competitor. However, it's still a pretty impressive research. And as you, as the owner of Purina, can gain a lot of useful insights into what your competitors are doing right and where their weaknesses lie. And also, what are some opportunities they might be considering exploring in the future, so you know what their plan is. I asked the same prompt to Agent GPT to give me this SWOT analysis. Now, I think it more correctly put this in the perspective of what are the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats of Purina, which is what I was looking for. So it says the strength, we have an established brand. We're one of the top players in the pet food market. We have a wide product range. And also we spend a lot on research and development. Some of the weaknesses the report points out is that there's high competition and there's limited organic options in Purina's dog food. Some opportunities, there's a growing demand for premium pet foods. So we can capitalize on this opportunity by expanding our premium food offerings and expand into international markets. And some of the threats are regulatory challenges. But just like with every example for Agent GPT, this is just the first iteration. Let's see what it does on its second attempt. Oh, excuse me. So this one is the final attempt. And I just wanted to show you this as its kind of summary of all of its key points. The next area where we can benefit from GPT is in idea generation. This is a real critical process for businesses and entrepreneurs who are looking to innovate and create new products to improve their processes or develop unique marketing strategies. ChatGPT can serve as a powerful tool to facilitate and enhance your idea generation process. There's 4 key ways where it can be helpful here. First off, it's really great at brainstorming. Imagine you've got a team full of the smartest people in the world, and they're at your beck and call to help you brainstorm. That's kind of what it feels like using ChatGPT. It can offer you continuous ideas based on questions, on market trends, on any kind of theme you provide. Secondly, it can help you with creative prompts. So if you have a general idea and you're actually looking for some questions that you could ask in this general area to help you with your idea generation, ChatGPT can help you think about what those future questions should be. It's also really good at combining concepts or theories or types of products. So if you are considering 2 or more services or products, GPT can really help you explore ways to combine them to get the most business benefit from selling them and help you find really great synergies but between different ideas. And fourth, it's a great problem solver. Again, similar to number 1, imagine you're in a room with really smart problem solvers who have all the knowledge of business and marketing. And if you pose a question or a problem to it that you're experiencing in your business, it can help you find answers to those challenges. You're even, like I said, able to upload your data, upload Excel sheets or PDF files or any kind of data, and it can help you find answers to questions or problems that lay within those data. Now, we'll mention here that one of the risks of using ChatGPT is in uploading your own data. The way GPT works, all the models we've discussed, is that it has scoured the internet for basically everything that was written by anybody, every image that was posted, and it has put those in an archive that is very rapidly able to go into, learn, and give you answers from. So the way it's learned is that through the work of humans for decades and decades, if not centuries. So if you upload your data to ChatGPT, by the terms and conditions, you are allowing the GPT model itself to be trained on your data. And so this has made a problem in several prominent cases in the last year when large companies and employees of those companies have uploaded some company documents that were not publicly available to ChatGPT and then asked ChatGPT to help them solve some problems or to find some answers. Well, it was a great time saver, I'm sure, in those scenarios, but what ended up happening is later those companies found out that that information then was added to ChatGPT's massive knowledge base of its language model, and therefore was searchable and findable by other people, which wasn't ideal. So keep that in mind. Don't upload anything that you wouldn't want to be known publicly, because you are consenting for GPT to be trained on your data. And we'll talk more about the risks of using GPT at the end of the presentation, but I just wanted to mention that here at this part as well. So I wanted to see how ChatGPT could help us brainstorming. So I said, help me brainstorm new types of pet foods I can develop that will sell well in the market. Again, I am the Purina dog food company. So it gives me quite a few options here. It says you could create superfood blends, pet foods with a variety of nutrient-rich superfoods like blueberries, kale, chia seeds, and quinoa. Sounds like a very interesting option. Secondly, sustainable protein sources. So dog food sourced from sustainable proteins like insect-based, algae, plant-based proteins. And this can appeal to environmentally conscious consumers. Customized meal plans. So you can offer meal plans based on a pet's age, weight, breed, and health conditions. And you could even have an online assessment on your website that generates tailored food recommendations. So these are all sounding like really great kind of brainstorming ideas. If I'm the owner of this company, maybe some of these I haven't thought of yet, and they're leading me down a path that's going to help me, think of some really new and innovative solutions and new products. Let's look at Agent GPT and see how well it did in the same prompt. So it said, okay, you can have grain-free and gluten-free options. It's done research and has properly analyzed that there's an increased demand for grain-free diets among pet owners, and developing grain-free and gluten-free pet foods can cater to these needs. The second recommendation is limited ingredient diets. So some pet owners are looking for a simple, short ingredient list of things that are simple and easily digestible, without a lot of chemicals or additives. Thirdly, novel protein sources like venison, duck, or bison. I have never personally seen a dog food with venison, duck, or bison, but I can see it might be a seller in some markets, especially with pets who have sensitivities to common protein sources. Fourthly, it also talks about plant-based and vegetarian options, and then it goes on to offer several more recommendations. So again, I think this is a great brainstorming task to give it, and you can do this with any type of business. Again, if your business has a website or has information on it online already, you can just say, you are the business and help me brainstorm. Or if you don't have information on your business, you can provide a business plan or a summary of your business goals or anything, and ask it to help brainstorm new types of products and services you can launch to the market. And it will do the research and give you its results in a very, realistic and manageable way that you're able to see very clearly which ones might be the best for you to implement. The fourth topic where it's able to help on is with data analysis and insights. And these play a crucial role in helping businesses make informed decisions and to understand trends. And lastly, to help you optimize your marketing strategy. ChatGPT can assist in a variety of ways in the data analysis area. The first way is with hypothesis testing. So if you have a hypothesis or a question and you're not sure how to go about solving it, ChatGPT can help you explore ways you can run statistical tests or models, ways you can validate or refute your hypothesis. It can be very beneficial in a business situation to be able to do this quickly, so you're able to tap into the most promising markets quicker. Secondly, it can help you do predictive analysis. So just like with any good MBA student with Excel at their fingertips, ChatGPT has great knowledge of mathematics and statistics, and it can predict all sorts of data based on historical trends that you want to give it. Or it can look up online and find historical trends from other things like the stock market or anything where there's data online. And you can have that tied in with your own business data, help you do some predictive modeling, forecasting future trends or outcomes based on patterns that it's identified. Again, both in your data and public data, or just one or the other. Third, GPT can help you with a segmentation analysis. So most businesses, they sell and cater to slightly different markets. One market for your business might be teenagers, and another primary buyer might be elderly. So they're very different segments. And if you describe in a little bit of detail your customer base, GPT can suggest ways you can analyze, you can speak to them more efficiently and convincingly. It can analyze their behavior and trends and patterns and help you discover ways you can market to these different segments you have more efficiently. Fourth, it can help you identify opportunities. If you describe your business goals and challenges, it can analyze your questions and outside data to suggest opportunities for growth or improvement. And lastly, it can give you great feedback. So if you have, it can summarize your customer feedback. So if you have email testimonials you've gotten from customers, if you have a testimonial or review page, or if you have a bunch of feedback on a social media channel, you can copy and paste that, and it can analyze themes, gain insights, and help you find ways that you can better communicate and sell to your target market. So with this, I wanted to ask ChatGPT to do a segmentation analysis, perform an analysis of my main customer segments to analyze their behaviors and preferences so I can effectively market to them. So it identified first segment number 1 is the health conscious pet owners. It breaks down their behaviors, that they do extensive research. They invest time in researching their pet food's ingredients and look for high quality, natural, nutritious options, that they read the labels, and that they have regular vet visits. Another behavior is they seek natural ingredients, real meat and whole grains, that they prefer formulas that have limited or grain-free options because their pets might be sensitive to those or have digestive issues, and they look for wellness benefits. And the last behavior is that they value transparency. So they want to know where your ingredients are sourced from. The nutritional benefits should be on the packaging and the marketing materials. So it identified all this information about my health conscious pet owner segment. And as you can see, there's much more that it will give. Segment number 2 is about the convenience seeking pet owners and how their needs are very different to the first segment. And let's see how Agent GPT generated a response to the same query. So it said, here's our main consumer segments. The pet owners is the largest and most diverse customer segment, and they can be divided into subsegments. Sure. So the first one here is value shoppers. It's a price conscious group, which is what ChatGPT also identified. They're looking for affordability over brand loyalty. They're looking for cost-effective options, but still expect a certain level of quality. The number 3 here is health-conscious owners. They're focused on providing the best nutrition for their dogs to support their overall health and well-being. Number 4 is breed-specific owners, so owners of a certain dog breeds. They have unique dietary requirements. Purina can target this segment by developing breed-specific formulas and promoting them through breed-specific marketing campaigns. That's a very interesting idea. And 5th are the convenience seekers, busy individuals and families who value convenience above all else. You can cater, and then it says Purina can cater to this segment by offering convenient products like pre-proportioned meals, ready-made wet food, or easily to digest kibble. So both great answers that both give a lot of insight into different customer segments and how you as the owner of the company can best reach them. And lastly, we're going to talk about prototyping and design, which is really essential at all stages in the development of your company's products and services and in the user experiences you offer. ChatGPT can assist small business owners in various aspects of prototyping and design. The first one is in concept visualization. So if you have a concept of a prototype or design you have in mind, let's say you want to build a new website, which is a great way you can use GPT. You can describe some initial theories and thoughts you have, and it can help sketch that out in much fuller detail and help you better communicate that with a team of website developers. Secondly, it can create a full wireframe or mock-up of your proposed website, or perhaps you're thinking about making a mobile app. This will definitely be a time saver when it comes to hiring developers and working with them to develop anything that's website related. Number 3 are user flows. Describe user interactions and processes, and ChatGPT can outline the flows and navigation. Now, it won't just do this in a cookie cutter manner, but it'll again look at the types of websites in your industry. It'll look at the top 10 websites, what they're doing right in their user flow, and even in number 4 in the user interface and user experience design, and it will tie in the best practices in your recommendations. So before, what you would have spent hours at a development firm talking to their marketing and design experts on, ChatGPT will be able to do within just a few seconds, really, and with some initial prompts from you. And even if you don't get the absolute finished design and layout the first time with ChatGPT, from my experience, it's going to get you 80 or 90% of the way there. You'll be able to then finish it out with working with a professional developer. Number 5, it can help you with feature suggestions. So, if you're a small, medium, or large size business, you might be looking to add a new feature or functionality to a website to help you get more online sales or help you increase the length of time visitors spend on your site. So GPT is great at helping you think of new features that can be beneficial to add to your website. And of course, like with content generation, writing product descriptions is a very good use of ChatGPT. It's able to do outside research and use any internal product description that you might already have to help you write product descriptions of any length and tailored to any tone of voice that you want to use to communicate your brand's marketing message. So as the last challenge here I put to these 2 different GPT programs, I said, give me feature suggestions for my website, purina.com. So it's able to go to purina.com and actually look at what's on the website right now. It's also able to look at, again, my competitors and make a synthesis of what maybe my competitors have that I don't, or just in general, what would be good for me to add to my website based on other information that it has. The first idea is that it has to create a pet profile. Allow users to create pet profiles, including the age, the breed, size, and diet preferences. And then you can provide personal information on product recommendations. So this sounds like a great way to increase the loyalty of my customers. Secondly, it says I can create a virtual pet nutritionist, an interactive tool that asks users questions about their pet's health and provides tailored nutrition and advice and product suggestions. So again, I think this is another great feature that would be very beneficial to Purina. I'll say I looked at Purina's website and I can confirm they don't have any of these things. And so, whether or not you're large or small business, you can benefit from understanding some of the features your website could and should have. And then we'll look at Agent GPT and what were some of their recommendations. Now, one thing I like about this answer is that Agent GPT, and I color-coded it myself, but for each of the options, they said the feasibility, the impact, and the customer demand. I think that's very helpful when you're trying to identify what features you might want to add. You might not know how feasible it is. That means how hard is this to develop and how expensive. You might not know what will the impact be on my online sales, and you also don't really know what the customer demand is. So here, Agent GPT actually found that out and just presented that to me right here. So the first idea is that an online pet adoption platform says this is moderately feasible, meaning moderately expensive to develop. It's going to have a high impact on my sales, and there's a lot of demand for it. So adding an online pet adoption platform to the page. I think that sounds like a great idea for a pet food company. The second is a personalized pet nutrition recommendations, similar to ChatGPT. You develop a feature that provides personal pet nutrition recommendations. You're going to have some advanced algorithms to analyze the pet data, and then you can provide specific suggestions to the nutrition of the pet and what products you have that would be the best. And also an interactive pet health tracker. So this is another interesting idea to allow people to monitor their pet's health kind of through the website or perhaps through a mobile app. So I think these are some great feature recommendations, and any business, big or small, in any industry can use these. And again, the bottom line here is really to help your business increase its online sales. So whatever features your website should have to achieve that, these GPT models are able to very quickly provide some great insight. So we've talked a lot about the tactics you can use when employing GPTs. And I've mentioned that there are some words and phrases you can use as you go about asking questions to these GPT agents. And this is a list of 22 different areas where you can adjust your questions to get different answers. Now, I'll highlight here my favorites and the ones I feel are most important. First off, you can specify the tone. So if you say in a formal tone or in an informative or persuasive tone, write me this blog post. So that's very useful to get the tone right. In addition, you can say, provide a writing sample from yourself, or even ask it to use the tone and style of a famous person. Secondly is the format. So if you want it in an essay, or if you want it in bullet points, or if you want it like a dialogue between two or more characters, you can specify the format and it will write it to you in that format. Number 4 is the objective. So if you state your objective, this really helps GPT both kind of start getting the tone right and also help give you content that's going to be better suited to your needs. If there's any limitations, you can specify those. I specifically like specifying which word count I need. So, if you're on various social media platforms or your website, you might just be looking for a set number of words. Just specify that, and then they'll give you the right amount of words in the response. You can also specify your type of audience. And useful if you're doing any kind of research and you want your citations, you can ask for quotes with statements from experts, and you can ask for citations. So while you're welcome to experiment with all 22 of these, I think these that I've highlighted here are the first ones that I'd recommend, because these can really change the output and get you the desired output much quicker. Next, I wanted to show you kind of an overview of the landscape of GPTs and just AIs in general. This is changing monthly. And so this is up to date as of last week. And it shows you some of the tools you can use for different purposes. So for writing, we have ChatGPT. Another alternative is Jasper. Copy AI is here. Also, I would probably include here Agent GPT as well. There's some video creating AIs, audio creating AIs, coding AIs. Now, one interesting thing is AI and these language models not only is very good at understanding English grammar, but they're also very good at understanding computer code as it's a language of its own. And so they're able to write code or review code, and they're in fact putting a lot of coders and developers and people who work in that industry out of business, because it's very quick and efficient to have AI write your code now. There's also AI-focused productivity apps, and let's not forget image generation. Midjourney here is a real amazing way to create images, and we'll look at some of the output of AI-generated images here, as well as talk about how you can use them in your marketing. So as we talked about, being able to write good prompts for your AI is critical in getting the results you want. This prompt is a great way to save you some time and help you get the best results quickly. So let's see what it does. You can copy and paste this prompt into your GPT. And I'm just going to leave this with you to actually experiment with on your own, because this prompt tells GPT to become your prompt creator, and therefore it kind of guides you through writing a good prompt. And I think you'll find this really useful, especially if it's your first time using a GPT to get some answers, that you can copy and paste this whole thing as a start with. And because what it's going to do is then help guide you into learning about how to create your prompts in the best way. Another interesting fact about AIs that has been discovered recently is that using common words and phrases help you get better results, and sometimes pretty unexpectedly. So one research discovered that telling an AI model to take a deep breath caused math scores to increase. So it's really interesting. Here's a math problem that's just something common you might see on an SAT or a GRE. And the first time this was given to ChatGPT, it scored 34%. And then adding the words, let's think step by step, increased it to 71%. And telling it to take a deep breath increased the score even higher. So why does this work? Obviously, large language models can't take a deep breath because, they don't have lungs, and they don't think or reason like humans either. But what reasoning they do is borrowed from the mass amounts of data set that it's been scraped from books and the internet. So that includes things like forums, which include examples of let's take a deep breath or think step by step before showing more carefully reasoned solutions to problems. So these phrases help the language model tap into better answers or produce better examples of reasoning and problem solving. And so the point in fact is this is useful for you to use, but also there's so much more we're still learning about AI and how to use it effectively. OpenAI, the company that created ChatGPT, they didn't come up with this. This was discovered by somebody else. So it's worth your time to experiment and explore and maybe learn some new things on your own that are not really widely known yet that can help you when using ChatGPT. So can your business use AI generated images? I get asked this quite a bit. And yes, you can. Legally speaking, right now, any images generated by an AI like ChatGPT or Midjourney here or Jasper, they're generated on your prompts, and therefore they are your images. You're able to use them in your business and your marketing however you want. They're not copyrighted by anybody else. So some of the use cases for AI image generation include storyboarding a video. If you're looking to create a marketing video of some sort, you can ask the AI to create you a storyboard of the video based on some initial ideas. You can create and modify user interface designs for websites or mobile apps. You can experiment with new marketing design styles and different types of artwork that might communicate better with your target market. You can very quickly use it for creating graphs and images and infographics for social media or other marketing purposes. You can also create website images, icons, anything graphical. You can also create full flyers, banners, business cards, and things like that. So there's a ton of use cases for AI generated images. Here are the top image generator services. Midjourney is, I think, one of the best. It produces really amazing photorealistic art generation. Jasper AI is also really good for business content, more the flyers. Canva is very simple, and it's best for quick graphics, illustrations, and logos. And then ChatGPT has recently released a new version of their image generator called DALL-E 3. And because ChatGPT is already so good at taking prompts just written in human language, you can give it any kind of human language prompt and it will generate images from it. You don't really need to work in a lot of those special prompt guidelines I provided. It generally gets it very, very close to what you want the first time. So here are some examples of AI generated images. You can see it produces everything from photorealistic ones like in the top left to very stylized and artwork to, again, it looks like a photo of a flower with water drops on it, to photos of faces, to covers of New Yorker magazine. Even at the bottom, we see some AI renders of different types of products that you might be selling. So the use cases are really, really wide open here. And this is Midjourney. The one I mentioned is, I think, the best at a wide variety of images. And you can see the output here is really stellar. You're able to use these in your marketing materials with no need to worry about copyright infringement. Now, ChatGPT's version is called DALL-E 3. And in comparison to Midjourney that we just looked at before, it renders photorealistic details. And it's nice because it doesn't require a lot of kind of counterintuitive prompts or modifications to gain a desired output. You can see what some of the prompts were on these, tiny potato kings wearing majestic crowns, sitting on thrones, etc. So you can just really explain things in a very common, simple way, and it can generate images. You can always ask it to revise and update images or generate more examples of the image. You don't always have to just stick with the first one they give you, because again, these are generated within about 20 or 30 seconds based on all of the images and all of the artwork that's ever been displayed on the internet. So if you want it in the style of a famous painter, or make it look like the photograph in the style of a famous photographer, you can simply say that in your prompt and it will then reflect that style very, very accurately. So tons of possibilities with image generation. I think this is a big way businesses can use ChatGPT and AI generated content going forward. So we've heard a lot about how AIs like ChatGPT can be useful in generating text and now images, but just to underscore quite how swiftly this has taken over lots of aspects of content creation, I wanted to show you this chart, and it's the time it took these various big companies to reach 1 million users. Well, as you can see through here, Netflix, it took 3.5 years. Facebook, it took 10 months, and it took ChatGPT only 5 days when it was released in November of 2022. And in fact, ChatGPT, the app, when it launched on the App Store for Android and Google this year, was the fastest downloaded app and the fastest growing app ever. So is a huge amount of interest in this. It is very, very widespread and certainly going to be taking over more aspects of work, of society, of culture as time goes on. So thinking more about the impacts of technologies like ChatGPT on society and on your business, I wanted to bring up some considerations which you might not be aware of that are important when you're using technology like ChatGPT. The 4 factors that are important to know is that sometimes it can get facts wrong. Every now and then, this is termed hallucinating in reports and scientific kind of studies, but it can just get common facts wrong. So if you say, who is the president of a country on this date, very, very much of the time it gets it right, but sometimes it just gives you the wrong answer. So usually when it comes to checking facts, you should double check its facts, at least now. It is getting better and better at this all the time. Secondly, you don't want to probably allow any AI like ChatGPT access to your other accounts like social media or finance. There are plugins and integrations which can allow ChatGPT to automatically post things on your Facebook or Twitter, or even log into your bank accounts and make purchases on your behalf. And while this sounds like a really cool and exciting technology, it is still risky as far as being hacked, and it's also risky because it might make a mistake and then you won't be able to really undo it. So at this point in time, I don't recommend anybody allow access to other accounts through one of these AIs until more time's gone on and they've been more fully developed and tested. Thirdly is that, as I mentioned, these have a free tier, which uses a slightly older language model, but still a very competent one. But it can also get overloaded. They don't really give that tier priority access. So if you are in a time crunch and you think, boy, I got to generate this, in the next 5 minutes for my business and get it out there, you might find you're stuck in having to wait for, anywhere between 5 minutes and over an hour, I've seen. So keep in mind, the free tier sometimes is unavailable. And fourthly, you don't want to use it with any sensitive business information. As I mentioned, leaking business secrets has been a thing in the past, and I'm sure will continue to be a thing, but not by anybody here, because now you've heard it several times. You never want to upload any documents or say anything in a chat which isn't publicly available about your business, because it is integrated into the language model's learning and someday could be then provided as an answer to somebody else. Now, I also wanted to pose this question to ChatGPT, and I wanted to ask it, what are the considerations and risks of using ChatGPT for my small business? So the first thing it said was a bias. An AI algorithm can be biased, reflecting the biases of the data it was trained on. So it could lead to a discriminatory outcome, which can harm your business's reputation. So that makes sense, right? It's only as good as the text and images that it's trained from. And if there's biases or discrimination there, then the AI won't know any better, and it will also reuse those. Secondly, there's a lack of human touch. It says that AI can reduce the human touch customers may be looking for in business situations and create a sense of distance between your business and consumers. I do think this is a risk, and if we stop writing our own text, are we really going to lose touch with the consumers of our goods and our services? Thirdly, over-reliance on using ChatGPT for writing things like marketing copy may reduce the creativity and innovation of human writers. Again, this is directly from ChatGPT, and it can result in a lack of differentiation from competitors. So it's kind of saying, humans might become dumber if they use AI too much. And also, all humans might kind of start sounding the same as far as their marketing materials because it's all written by a GPT. And fourthly, there's limited context. So you're only going to get answers based on what you tell it. Now, this is definitely true for ChatGPT. As we've seen for Agent GPT, however, it's not quite true because Agent GPT revises your initial question and your prompt multiple times, getting it better and better and giving you better and better answers. So this is more of a limitation with ChatGPT, I feel. But it says the result of this is that you might get, information or marketing message that doesn't really understand the whole context of your business, and therefore it could result in a marketing message that's not aligned with your overall business goals. So despite the risks and despite the shortcomings, there's a lot of positives too, as we've seen. And the last thing I want to talk about is this topic here. It's just kind of the broader topic of how does AI impact society? How is it shaping society? There is a institute, I think the biggest opponent to AI right now is the Future of Life Institute. And famously, earlier this year, they had an open letter that was signed by people like Elon Musk and Steve Wozniak and presidential candidates to halt all development of AI more powerful than GPT-4, which is what we've been using primarily today, halted for 6 months so we can understand the implications of society. So this was a letter that was written. It was hoping to change policy. It was hoping to change companies' minds. However, the AI race has just accelerated. OpenAI, the creator of ChatGPT, has not slowed progress of new versions, they've said. And cynics to this open letter have said it's just an excuse for people and companies like Elon Musk who haven't developed their own AI first to have 6 months to catch up to those who have like ChatGPT. So, but I think it's worth bringing up. And another thought I'll leave you with here is an article from a website, Tech Radar, which is really good at reporting on tech news. They had an article a few months ago talking about how generative AI, like ChatGPT, is stealing the valor of human intelligence, and how the tainted core of generative AI is the devaluing of human culture. I think it's interesting to note that GPT is only as good as it is because of all the writing and research and work that humans have put in and contributed over the last decades, and even historical texts going back thousands of years. Without any of that, GPT would have nothing. It would be nothing. So if we use GPT exclusively, what does that do to human thought and our ability to problem solve ourselves and things like that? So wherever you fall on that spectrum, thinking it's great or thinking it's a risk, there's a few other resources here, and I encourage you to maybe look at these websites and get a broader picture and a broader understanding of these other groups and how they're going about, considering the implications for society going forward. That concludes the official presentation part of today's session. Now I'd love to open it up to your questions, and we will be able to, you can type those in to the Q&A box. We'll go through as many as we have time for, and I hope that you'll have some questions for me that we can dive into and try to answer. Thank you.
Thanks, Cameron. Yeah, we've had quite a few questions drop in since the beginning. I am going to go back and start at the beginning. I'm sure you have actually answered some of these throughout the webinar, but we've said before, it's always good to reiterate. So I'm going to go ahead. So first question, some free programs actually sell your data. Does the free ChatGPT sell your computer's data?
Not your computer's data, but anything you type into it or upload to it, possibly, yes. Kind of relevant to that question is something I read by a tech journalist who said that OpenAI has stolen the internet from us and is selling it back to us. And the logic there is that, right, they scoured all the text and the images on the internet kind of in secret a few years ago, and they trained ChatGPT, and now people are using ChatGPT to find answers from the knowledge on the internet. So it's an interesting paradigm. In a way, I think you could say that ChatGPT is, taking the knowledge of people and is kind of selling it back to them, but in a much more effective and efficient way than was possible with Google searches, which essentially did the same thing. That was maybe an older way of finding information, and ChatGPT is a newer way. But to your concern, there's no way that they're going to look at information on your computer unless you specifically upload it or type it into your question on the GPT website.
How does ChatGPT know who your target market is?
That's a great question. So in my examples, I said I'm the Purina dog food company. That's all I told it. So it had to go out and figure out what's Purina, what's a dog food company, who are the major players, who are the competitors to Purina. Then it synthesized a bunch of research and analysis and gave me that information in a very succinct form. So that's how it does it. It has all of the knowledge that's been stored on the internet to use.
Are there any copyright or trademark considerations for content produced?
That's a great question. It's fluidly changing. There's a lot of discussions at local and federal government levels and international levels about this. Famous authors have said, look, if GPT has scoured my books and analyzed my writing and is providing, and it's using that as thoughts or inceptions for new stories it's telling people and giving people, and those people are selling those stories, shouldn't I be compensated because my work was used to train GPT? So it's a valid argument. Currently, authors are claiming this, also artists, photographers. So the current legal status is it's not copyrighted by anybody but you, the answers you get. That could change in the future. So it'll be interesting to see the legal battle that'll take place, because at one point you have the authors saying, without us, GPT would be nothing, which is true. And then you have OpenAI, which is saying, well, we're not taking any idea from any one of you, right? It's a synthesis of thousands and millions of pieces of writing. So how could we ever compensate you all? So it's an interesting question.
And you did, I think, touch on this at the end, but let's go ahead with, are there any cybersecurity concerns with the free products?
I don't believe so. I mean, like with any website you go and you create an account on and you give it your email address, it's possible that website might be hacked and your email address stolen. So, I mean, that's a concern, like with creating an account anywhere. But I don't think there's more unique cybersecurity risks. The only risk is, like I mentioned a couple of times, any information you give the GPT, by its terms and conditions, it's able to train itself on for the future. So just be careful with that.
So yeah, the next question was, do these products own my data? Questions, answers once I ask the questions.
Yes, essentially, yes. Now, ChatGPT, understanding that there's some people who obviously don't like that, has announced they're going to offer an even more expensive subscription beyond the $20 a month pro level. I think they're calling it Enterprise. And what that'll do is, they claim any information you upload or any questions you asked will be siloed only to your account. So it will not be trained outside of your account on anything proprietary. Now, that's not released yet, and that's right now just a theoretical promise, but that should be coming soon or something like it.
What is the advantage of ChatGPT over Bard for small businesses?
So ChatGPT launched first, and they're on version 4. Bard was Google's really quick attempt to kind of catch up to this, because they were caught kind of by surprise, like almost everybody was last November. So while Google Bard has obviously been making a lot of good strides lately, one of the key things they've announced is the ability to search through all of your emails, your Google Drive files, your calendar, anything is stored across any Google device that you're kind of logged into. And they can retrieve data, answer questions, etc., from your personal data. So that's really cool. And that's not something ChatGPT can do. However, in my tests comparing the two, ChatGPT often provides better answers. So, asking it for the competitors of Purina and the SWOT analysis, Google Bard often struggles to find as much relevant information. Now, I'm sure it's getting better and better all the time, but it is not quite as advanced on most of these types of things as ChatGPT.
How can you use AIs to learn how to do things? For example, cooking.
Mhm. That's a great question. I haven't explored cooking specifically, but recently, one of the newer features of ChatGPT is you can upload an image and you can ask ChatGPT to analyze the image. So I was trying to fix a plumbing problem in my house. I took a picture of a broken plumbing fixture thing, and I uploaded it, and I just said, "Hey, I'm trying to fix this. Tell me how to do it." So it analyzed the image of a broken flange. It said, this is this part. It says you need to replace the flange. This is called the flange. It says you need to use this kind of molding. So it basically gave me a little tutorial how-to guide of how to fix my plumbing problem based on an image. So
Wow.
yeah, it's pretty cool. Pretty soon we'll be able to take a video and upload a video and say, describe what's going on in this video, or help me analyze this video, or kind of provide any information I want to know about, this video. So it's progressing very rapidly.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Do these AIs show you sourcing or site information?
Yes, they definitely will. By default, it's not turned on, but if you say, I'm writing and I want you to cite your sources, give me those citations, they will definitely give you the citations in kind of a footnote type of format.
Can you trademark logos, images, etc. you create using AI for your company name or marketing materials?
I believe so. So I will have the caveat that I'm not a legal expert and these things change rapidly, but my understanding is that any images you create are your property because you were the one to give it that prompt. So logo design, image design, artwork design, you can use that, it's yours. Now, can you go trademark it? I think so, but you might want to ask the question to a legal expert as well, because I'm not the definitive answer on that.
Is the image generated content used to train the image creator too?
Yes, for sure. So, as you ask questions to ChatGPT and as you have it generate you images, it will learn from the questions and the output, and it all kind of goes into teaching it. So kind of relevant to that is somebody was wondering, well, what happens if you teach ChatGPT only on ChatGPT generated output? In this case, it was text, not images, but the result was that ChatGPT got dumber and dumber and dumber, meaning if all it has is its own output to learn from, it's not enough for it to learn anything. It only knows what it knows because of what people have written and what we have said and what we've learned. And that's how it synthesizes data and gives us good answers. But it would be caught in a death loop if all it had was its own output to learn from. So I think similar with the artwork and the image generation, if all it could do was analyze its own output and not things like Picasso or Rembrandt or these artists that push the boundaries, it would kind of devolve and devolve and devolve and get worse and worse and worse. That's my thought on it.
Is there a cost to download the ChatGPT app?
No, it's free, both for iOS and Android. The only cost is if you want to pay $20 a month to have the pro account, which is transfers both from the app to the website. So, one account in both places. The app does pretty much everything the website does and vice versa. So the app is completely free.
Excuse me, is there anything like ChatGPT that isn't on the cloud? For example, your data will stay on your PC.
Yes, it is. It is possible. The thing here is that you might imagine all the data of the internet, it's a massive amount, and nobody before now has really tried to gather it all. So searching through that and analyzing that and providing answers within like 5 seconds is hugely difficult. And so most people's computers could not do it. The only way ChatGPT is able to is that there's massive server farms of thousands and tens of thousands of super fast computers working together to analyze the data. And so while it's possible to download an open source version of a GPT to any computer and run it, the length of time it would take to get the answers back makes it impractical.
Okay, here's someone looking for your opinion. I'll let you decide whether or not you answer the question. Do you think this is bad or scary for mankind, society? What about jobs? Should the working class prepare for mass layoffs?
Yeah, it's great. I obviously have an opinion. I'm not an expert, but I'm not sure anybody really knows the future of this technology. It's probably similar to electricity, and when that was first becoming a thing, people were excited to have a light bulb. I don't think they realized how much electricity would take over the lives of everybody in 50 or 100 years. So I think it's the same thing. I do know that the government agency, I think it was the Department of Commerce, this week put out a report saying that they expect the impact of AIs upon the society to be roughly a 20 or 25% decrease or disruption. So I think what they were trying to say is 20 to 25% of jobs and the types of employment people have can be at risk because of AIs. So obviously, if you look at 25% of the overall economy, it's a huge impact. And the study said in the next 10 years. So I think that's probably a worst case scenario, but there will be an impact. I know developers, website developers, graphic artists, and content writers for social media who are already either using GPT a lot to help them in their work or have just been put out of work by GPT. So that's kind of the way it's going.
Can you use AI to clean up your files, file folders, Dropbox, Google Drive? Can you use it as an organizer?
That's a great question. I don't exactly know, but I know that it's building up to that. So there's two questions. There's like all the files you might have on Dropbox or Google Drive in the cloud. And, with Google Bard being able to tap into Drive, I haven't tried this yet, but I imagine you could say, help me clean up my Google Drive. That's something that an AI should be able to do. But I believe it was actually just yesterday that Microsoft had a press meeting and they mentioned Windows 12. And they said in Windows 12, the Microsoft Copilot powered by ChatGPT is going to be so embedded in the operating system that you'll talk to your operating system just like you'll talk to a person and it will talk back. So if you say, analyze all the files on my computer and help me sort them more efficiently, it should be able to do that automatically for you, which is obviously a big game changer, being able to interact with your computer in such a way. And so that's Microsoft's vision for Windows 12. And I'm sure there'll be more information on that in the next few months as they, build up to launching that, I think in 2024.
Okay, I'm seeing that we're just over 2:30. Let me throw out a couple more questions and then
we can
we're
do
gonna
a
have to
couple
cut
more.
off and people can reach out directly for answers. Sorry about that. This is a lot of information. So this person wants to know, they're an independent sales contractor for a printer industry. If they create marketing materials representing manufacturers' products, should they be okay as long as the manufacturer approves the content?
I'm not really sure. I think it comes down to a little bit about your contracts with your manufacturers. So I'm not really sure if you're using ChatGPT to generate marketing text, I think that's fine. If you're using ChatGPT to generate images of a copier, that should be fine. I'm just not quite sure in your specific scenario and the combining images with text and exactly what it'll look like. So I would just refer you to probably talk to the manufacturers of those printers to get their okay.
Okay, so we've had a couple people. Thank you for such an amazing presentation. And I'm going to end with one more question. What's the big difference between the paid version and the free version?
Of ChatGPT, the main differences are with the paid version, you get access to create images through DALL-E 3. That's the DALLE-3. So that's really great. That was just released this week. With the paid version, you can get access to analyze your data. So upload your Excel sheets, your Word docs, your PDFs. It can analyze and answer questions. Secondly, it gives you version 4, not version 3.5. So version 4 gives you slightly better answers, is also faster at generating answers, and you don't have to wait. Like I said, sometimes version 3.5 gets overloaded and you have to wait an hour to use it. So those are the main advantages. And personally, I think for $20 a month, for a lot of businesses, it's a real no-brainer business expense. It could be a very valuable addition to your business right now.
All right, thank you. I'm sorry we did not get through all the questions. So again, you can email help@VirginiaSBDC. We can connect you to get your questions answered. Thanks, Cameron. This was amazing. And I want to thank everyone for attending today. You will receive an email with a link to the recording and to the slides, so don't worry about it if you didn't write things down. If you would like to sign up for upcoming webinars or access recorded webinars, please visit virginiasbdc.org/training. This webinar and other SBDC resources are designed to be used in collaboration with your local SBDC advisors. You can sign up for a free and confidential session by emailing help@virginiasbdc.org or via our website. And we do hope to see you at our next session. Take care, everyone.
Thanks, everybody. Have a good day. Bye-bye.